So welcome to this end of 2023 webinar for Brain. Um, if you have not met me yet personally, it's very nice to meet you all. My name is Dr. Omer Hirsch. I am a chiropractor and I am a specialist in developmental disorders. I have a fellowship in neurodevelopmental disorders with the International Board on Functional Neurology since 2018. And that's my main focus in practice since pretty much 2011. Um, and during the last maybe 3 or 4 years, I would say 80 to 90% of what I do is work with children with developmental disorders. And over the past 2.5 years, almost 3 years, unfortunately, it's been dragging about a little bit. But over almost 3 years now, 2.5, 3 years, I've been fortunate enough to be working with my neighbor and friend and business partner. His name is Barak Aviv, who is a software engineer. And we've been working together to create Brain. And so the purpose of this meeting is not to introduce Brain from zero, because I do have an entire separate session that we have done already. And if you want the recording for that, I'll be happy to send it to you. Just shoot me an email or a text or WhatsApp or Facebook message or whatever, a mail pigeon, however you want to contact me. Just let me know that you want that video and I'll send it to you. The purpose of today's webinar is to really show you 2 or 3 ways that you can actually use Brain in practice, and to kind of go over the really basic concepts of what is Brain, what's the point, why is it unique, why is it special, and why I think it's awesome. I do want to give a shout out to a few of the people who've already been working with us over the last few months, Matthew and Michelle and Adi and Dana, and a couple others that I may be forgetting their names right now, and I apologize, because they have given us a lot of very important feedback, and they have helped us uncover several bugs that we were still kind of working on. And as of this week, we're officially finished with our initial development and programming, and the system is fully up and running, and we're very proud of it. And there's a lot more that's going to be put into development, and a lot more games that we're going to throw in there, and a lot more. There's a lot more that's going to be in there over the next 2 years or so. But we are very happy with what we started with, and I'm sorry if I'm kind of checking messages while we're doing it, so that to see if anybody is having any problems. So apologies. Anyway, so that's kind of like just an opening remark. And so what's Brain? Just right after COVID hit, I guess, Barak and I were sitting and talking, and I was talking about my practice and how I'm looking to really expand what I'm doing, and get to more people and get to more there. There's pretty much maybe 2 or 3 people. Me and Reuven are 2 of them, and maybe there's 1 or 2 other people in Israel who do anything that relates to functional neurology. And there's hundreds of thousands of kids, and this is just kids. I'm not even talking about adults who are dealing with developmental disorders. And we know this to be true in everywhere in the world. There's very, very few people who work with balancing the brain and figuring out brain gut axis and stuff like that. And there's really so many people who need our help. And so I was trying to see how I can get to a lot of people. And while talking to Barak, and at some point he told me, you know what, you don't need assistance, and you don't need to open another practice, and you don't need to expand. What you need is an app. And I was like, yeah, all right. Everybody says that today. This is for everything you want. You got to invent an app. And we kind of made fun of it for a couple of months. And then we started sitting on it and talking about it seriously. And at some point we realized we could really create something that will be a really good clinical tool. And so I was thinking, what do we need? And what I was looking for is something that will help bring functional neurology into the home and enable kids to do something for their brain on a daily basis that they're actually going to enjoy. And so the first thing that came up was brain games. And there are a lot of apps for brain games. I'm sure most of you know some, even work with some. I've worked with at least 3 or 4 different apps for brain games. But there's two things that all of them pretty much were lacking. One is my ability to decide what the what the child is going to be exposed to. So what kind of stimuli is he going to be exposed to, or to be more accurate, what those stimuli are going to do for his brain. And then the other thing that was missing really is specific stimuli. So most of these games are pretty generic, and everybody gets about the same games. What I found myself doing was kind of doing screenshots of all the games and circling, I want you to play this game, that game, this game. And, that's not the way to do it. And so we created AmazeBrain. And AmazeBrain has 2 portions to it. There's a patient website, and then there's a therapist website. And I'm going to show you both of them today. And you can use it in 2 ways. So I spoke to several practitioners, and one of the things that came up was, how can we use this in the office? Because we designed it initially to be used at home. And I'll show you in a second how. But then, colleagues of ours have been asking me, how can we use this in the office? And so I was trying to figure out how to do it, and that's what I'm also going to show you today, how I have been doing it. And so let's dive right into it. I will say one more thing. What we did with AmazeBrain is we took brain games. Some of them are known brain games, which we created our own version to. Others are brain games that we invented. And we tried to think, all right, what skills are needed to complete game X? All right, so one of the games that you're going to see is called More is Less. In More is Less, the person has to figure out which of the objects appears most times. There's more copies of it on the screen. All right? So it's kind of a general, it's not a math operation. It's more of a number skill. So you have to count and figure out which one is bigger, right? It's more of a number skill. It's a little bit more of a right brain. But you also have to pay attention to details. So you can also use it for a little bit of a left brain activation. So it can be for both. But what we did was we threw on top of that different parameters that we changed in each game to make it more specific to the brain region that we're trying to stimulate. So as an example, we can change the background colors from cold colors to warm colors. So it may be red, yellow, orange, or it may be blue, purple, indigo, right? If we want to activate the left or the right brain accordingly. We may change the direction in which the objects move. So they may move, smoothly in one direction or the other, or up or down or in diagonals. Or we can actually make them hop so that it's more of a saccadic activation. So we can activate more of the parietal lobe, temporal lobe, or more of the frontal lobes. We can have the background be more solid, so it's more temporal, or more textured, so it's more parietal. And then there's other things. And obviously we can change the objects themselves. So it can be letters or numbers, or it can be, shapes, 3D shapes, 2D shapes, faces, creatures, critters, etc., right? So all those things can help us steer the game into a specific direction, activating a specific brain region. Now, you don't have to do anything to get that. All you have to do is to decide what you want to activate for your patient. Do you want to activate their frontal lobe? Do you want to activate their parietal lobe? Do you want to activate their cerebellum on the left or on the right? And then our system does that in the background. So you don't have to remember everything. You don't have to memorize all the games. And right now we have, I think, 13 active games. We have 1 or 2 that are not active, but we already have 7 more that they're ready for development. They just haven't been developed yet or programmed yet. And then we have I think several dozens more that are in different process of development. So there's going to be a lot of games in this program. And so we don't expect you to remember all of them. We don't want you to remember all of them. They are going to be introduced to the patient, and it's going to be renewed every day so that it's not boring for the patient and they're getting the games that they need. So another game we have is just a basic memory game, right? You have to find the pairs, right? And then figure out what they are. Pretty classic working memory game, right? But we're not going to give it to someone who doesn't need this kind of activation, right? So they're not going to see this game unless, they're very advanced and we kind of run out of games. But for someone who needs more of a left brain working memory kind of activation, they will probably see this game every day or maybe every other day, right? So you see how so we started with that, and then we threw on top of that all of the other parameters that I discussed. And then later on, we're going to add audio into it. One of the games already has an audio component to it. It's more of like a Simon game, but a little bit different. So you can see it becomes pretty complicated and pretty intense, and we can use it again at home or in the office. So let me show you for a second what the patient sees. Let me share my screen so you can see it. Whenever I have someone in the office who has a right brain deficit, I can just pull up this. You can all see the games, right? The screen. So whenever I have a right brain deficit child, I could just pull this one up, and all the games here are going to be aimed at a right brain. Now I can be more specific, right? I can have several ones that are more specific, but quite honestly, the way we use it, I don't think it's very necessary. What will be more specific is what we give them at home, and I'll show you that in a minute. And I'll show you in a minute a video where a patient is actually using this. But let's take more is less, like I said before. So let me show you what you're seeing. 0 out of 6 means this person is supposed to play this 6 times a day, but they haven't played it yet, right? And obviously, because they don't have patience today. But we can change this from, and I'll show you this later, but this is what these numbers mean. They have games that they're supposed to play, which is what you see here. And then they can also have extra games, which is in the daily training. And in this case, I just kind of put them here for my comfort so that they're all on the screen. But they may all be, and you can decide to have them play 8 or 9 or 10 games every time they play, right? But I just wanted to have all the games available for me. And why did I do it this way? Because this way I can use this with patients. I can use each of these games 6 times a day. So I can use this with a lot of patients per day. Now there is one caveat here. If I played more is less, and we'll do it in a second, I'm just not going to play it all the way. This will show up as 1 out of 6. Now, I can't play this again until all these 6 games are 1 out of 6, right? So I have to play all these games before I can do it again. And again, this is designed so that someone doesn't just play the same game over and over and over again. Again, we want them to get different games and different skills. But in the office, you may want to give them, several games and play around with it. And, one kid may get this game, the other kid may get that game. So let me show you what it looks like. And game instructions. All right. So every game gets an instructions. So there's a verbal explanation, and then there's also a short video that they can look at and see what they're supposed to do. And then when they're ready, they just press start, and the game comes up after a few seconds. And so again, this game, and we're starting at level 1, and we just have to figure out which one appears more. You guys don't hear it, but there's a sound that tells me that I got it right. All right. Okay, and at some point I am going to go up a level, and then I have more objects, and it becomes more complicated. And if I go higher up in the level, they're actually going to start rotating, and they're actually going to start moving in space at some point. Up here we have a timer that, because this game, we've designed it so that it's about 1 minute per game, because I don't want them to be spending, hours and hours on these games, right? Some games work a little differently with the timing. Like, for example, Follow the Moskva, which is one that I like. It's a working memory game, but what I like about it is the eye movements part of it. So in this case, we're going to move our eyes and follow and look at objects, and then at the end we're going to have a set of objects appear, and we have to figure out which ones we saw during the game. So this one was one of the ones that appeared, right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Second, all right. So different games have different skill sets, and we can play around with them differently and use different objects and different backgrounds, and really we can activate this way a lot of different skills and a lot of different brain regions, and we can get pretty specific with it as we go along. All right. So far, questions? So now there's two ways we can use this. One is like I'll show you in a second in the office. And the other is we can give this to the patient to do at home. Now, if we give it to them to do at home, we're going to use it differently than what I'm showing you now. And I'll show you that in a second when we go to the therapist part. All right. But first, let me pull up. I'm going to stop the share for a second. And I'm going to pull up the video that I want to show you. One second. All right, I'll get to it in just a second, and then I'll show it to you. In the meantime, let me show you the therapist part. Okay, can you see the one with the left brain, right brain? Yeah, with all the names? All right, so as you can see, some of these are my kids, and I'm here, and the left brain, right brain is here. So let's take a look at my son for a second. So when I go into a patient, I have this screen come up. And so I can take notes, they're legal records. If you want to take any notes, you have them there. They're time stamped. It's perfectly fine. You can set reminders. Okay, you can set the reminders, and the SMS option doesn't work right now. We have to, there's a problem there we haven't figured out yet, but you can send them emails, and you can tell them which day, and they can set a time, and they can save it, and then they'll get an email, play your Image Brain games. But the important part is these three parts here. So let's start with the pulse. So right now he's set to play 5 minutes a day, 3 times a day. And his intensity level is at 0, so that's normal. Now, if he gets really good, I can bring that up. I can bring it up to 10, for example, which makes it 30% harder. I can take it down to -10, which makes it 30% easier. And then anything in between, right? I can make it more times a day, down to 1, and then less times a day, down to once every other day. And I can bring it up all the way to 10 minutes. Alrighty. So what I did with left and right brain for the practice is I put it up on 6 and I put it up on 10 minutes. So that every day I'm going to get 10 different games, and I can play each game 6 times. So I can have 60 games played during the day. So that's more than enough for a practice, right? More than enough. But when I send it for someone to do at home, I can set how many times I want to do it. I want them to play at home, and then how many times a day. So in this case, I want him to play 5 minutes a day, 3 times a day. 5 minutes each game for 3 times a day. So that means he's going to get 5 games. It's not exactly 5 minutes, but he's actually going to get 5 games. And again, each game takes about a minute. There are 2 or 3 games who take a little bit longer than that. So he's going to be playing around 8, maybe 9 minutes, 3 times a day. But he's going to spend those, 9, 10 minutes doing brain workout instead of playing Fortnite or whatever, Minecraft or Roblox or whatever stupid game he's playing. Right? So that's part of why we did it this way. And so this is how we can set it up for home use. All right. And I can decide if I want to give him extra games, and then he's going to get 1, 2, maybe 3 extra games on top of those 5. Or I can decide he doesn't get any extra games, and then he just gets the ones that I just gave him. Okay. So again, this is for when we use it at home. So they will get a game, and we don't we don't just, we don't do anything to help them. They have to do it at home. And I'll show you what we do have to do with it. The other two things we want to see here is functions and regions. Now, I'm not going to look into the functions because I've done it on another video, but basically it's either this or that. You can't use both. But what it does give us is full control of what we want to activate. So in this case, 100% means function is great. Okay? 0% means function is horrible. So in this case, if I look at the frontal lobe, I decided that I want most of his games to go to the right side because he's weaker on the right side. So I put his right side lower, and I can, make it more inferior parietal versus just plain parietal. So he's going to get maybe more, math associated games, for example. I can do it more parietal or more temporal. So in this case, it's more parietal a little bit, more temporal than parietal a little bit. And I can have cerebellum, pons, mesencephalon, and the basal ganglia direct and indirect pathways on each side. Okay, so I can make it pretty interesting and pretty specific. And it doesn't mean that every game is going to try to hit all of those areas. But he's going to get games that are looking to activate these specific areas. And the lower the percentage, the higher the probability that he's going to get a game aimed at that region. Okay, so if I put it on 0, he's probably going to get that a lot. If I put it on 50, and then there's another area that is on 20%, the 20% is probably going to be more activated than the 50%. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So this is what we do for home use, all right? And let me just say one more thing. When they go in there, the first time a patient logs in, they get a questionnaire. And when they fill out the questionnaire, each one of these is going to be scored between 85% and 100. This is just so that the system has a basic, basic understanding of where to start from. It's not here to replace your professional opinion. Okay, once they do that, you can go in there and change it however you want or not touch it. That's up to you. And you can do this every day. You can change it every day, or you can change it one time and not touch it again. It's really up to you. You have full control over this aspect. Now, if you don't, I know that no changes were found. If you don't like working with brain regions, you can use it. You can do it using different functional skills like, word reading, math calculation, working memory, inhibition, etc. Okay? Awesome. So this is the important part on the pre aspect of it. Now, the other part is the analytics. So we can take a look and see how he has been doing yesterday compared to the week before, and I can compare it up to 4 weeks going back. And I can look at how long he's been playing, how often he's been playing, how successful he was, how accurate he was. And accuracy is a measure of where he hit with his finger, how his score was, and how well did he do with consecutive correct answers. That's combo. Okay. I can also look at it on a more accurate way. So I can put in dates here, and I can see it on a graph, and I can just decide which one I want to look at. So I just want to look at combos right now. All right, so he hasn't played a whole lot. We can see that he pretty much played twice over the last week, which is not good. I'm going to talk to him about it. Over the last 4 days, sorry. But I can look just at duration. And this is in seconds, I believe. Don't worry about that all that much. Okay, so I can look at more than one. Okay, so but I like to look at just one at a time. So I can look at different aspects of his performance and really have an idea of how he's been doing, so that I can go back here and either change the pulse or not, change the brain regions or not, right? If he's doing really great and it's really easy for him, maybe I need to increase the intensity. If he's not doing anything, I can maybe give him a call and say, hey, why are you not using your AmazeBrain, right? And keep working on that. So that's how we use it for home use. And let me just, again, find that video I wanted to show you a moment ago. So in this case, this child is, she's standing on a vibration plate. She's got her eye lights on. She's got her Resimax on. She's got her brain driver on. She actually has, I think she's got, yeah, she's got some TENS units on the back. So she's getting a lot of brain stimulation as it is, but she's also playing the game. So in this case, I'm just holding it in front of her, and she had to use her right hand to play the game, right? And this is how we can use it in practice pretty easily, just like any other cognitive activation, where we can just decide, we can just start over when she's done with this game. We'll just start the next game, and we can choose which games she plays, or we can just let her choose, if she's got a game that's fun for her or whatever. But it's, we can use that. And in the background, you can see that she also has done, you can't see it anymore because I'm not sharing, but you saw it. She had her interactive metronome in the background, so she can do that as well. So it's a way to use in the office, and it's really easy. And like I showed you, when I set it up in that phantom patient that I have set up, and you can set it up however you want, then it's pretty easy for me to use it because I have, a huge selection of games, and I can do it for many patients if I have a lot of patients, or I can just do it very specifically if I know who's coming. Like for me, I do 1 or 2 patients a week, and I spend the entire week with them because I do intensives. So I can set it up and change it after I do the examination. And then the next day, I'm actually going to get games that are specific for that child, right? So you can also use it that way and change it up every time. And these games change every 24 hours. So at midnight, they recycle and she gets new games. All right. So these are 2 ways that I am using this system, either to give it to patients for part of their program at home, or to use in the office as part of the therapy if they can use it. We are working on several other things that we're going to do with this, and obviously more games and improving the games that we already have with, more interesting objects and better backgrounds and all that jazz. And we're always happy to get your feedback. And if there are any bugs or issues that you are encountering or one of your patients encountering, just shoot us an email, or if you have my phone, feel free to WhatsApp me or whatever. It's best to shoot us an email because then our support will see it sooner, and then we usually fix it within 24 to 48 hours. So questions so far?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So can I use this app on the touch screen, which is connected to the laptop, or is it only on the iPad?
No, so you can use this is a website, so you can use it on any computer, any tablet. You can even use it on the phone. I don't recommend using it on the phone because I want the biggest screen so that they have that eye-hand coordination aspect of it. And if there's movement on the screen, they have enough of eye movements going on. But you can even use it on the phone if you don't have any other option. Some of the games will be a little difficult to play on the phone. Like there's a game, it's called Wait a Minute, and basically they have to take different units. So let's say 1 liter, and put it in between or before or after several other units. Like let's say it'll have 2 liters and 300 milliliters, and they'll have to put the 1 right in between them, right? But if it's too small, they may not be able to see the number as well. So you have to kind of bring that really up to them. So that's not fun. So I would say use a laptop, preferably a touch laptop. Although again, you can use a mouse, you can use a desktop, you can use a TV screen and a mouse or something like that. It's possible. I definitely recommend using either a tablet or a touch screen laptop or TV. But you can use it with any device. It's not an app it's not on the App Store. It's a website. It's a web-based application.
So I could use that on the iPad, which is like the MS, like the iOS system, and then I could actually open that on the laptop with Microsoft and connect that to the touch screen, 24-inch. So then
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
time
You can,
use that one
you can.
setting.
Um,
You mean this?
I don't know. I don't know if that will work. I think you're saying what you're saying is you want to run it through the computer
Yeah, I'm
into
just
and
thinking,
project it on the TV and then
project
use the
that on.
TV as the touch screen.
Yes, well, I have the touch screen.
I don't think that would work because the computer that's running the program is the tablet.
Right.
So I don't think it will recognize the touch screen on the touching on the TV. I don't think we have that functionality yet. We are
Okay, but
going to, but we
can I?
don't.
So sorry.
Um,
So if I'm not gonna connect that through the laptop with Microsoft to connect
I
through
don't think it
the,
doesn't. I think it doesn't matter what you use to connect it. If you're running it through one computer, but the screen is a different computer,
right, yeah,
then I don't think it will recognize the touch screen. If
right.
it's the laptop with a touch screen, then it's the touch screen and the computer are the same one. So it will
I
recognize it.
get you.
What you
But
can do, if it's a smart TV, you can just go, their
don't have
smart
that.
TVs have browsers in them.
I don't have this, but you said about tablet. Tablet has probably like Microsoft also the
Doesn't matter
operating.
which tablet, Android, Microsoft, anyone that, any device that has a web
Excuse me.
browser on it. It can be Safari, it can be
I have
Chrome, it can be
iPad,
Fox. You
the
have an
old
iPad?
iPad. Yes,
On iPad, I recommend using Safari and
right.
not Chrome or the other ones because on Safari, it will blow up to a full screen, but on the other browsers, it might not.
Right. So
Um,
iPad, the old version of iPad, and then Safari,
yeah,
logging
iPad,
in through
Safari, just
the
log into the website and you're good to
website,
go.
and then touch screen on the iPad.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
what I would
Very
do.
good. Okay.
But that was a good question. Thank you. It's one of the things that we've been talking about, but we haven't gone there yet.
Yeah.
Any other questions so far before I go into the business part of it?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So this is first where doctor or therapist or whoever is doing their own assessment and then plugging that assessment into prescribing the exercises from their own assessment into the app.
So the way it works is the person goes into the website, logs in with their username and password that they're getting from you, really. You're inviting them on there. And then they fill out the questionnaire and the system gives them a default game choice. And then after 24 hours, they get games based on that questionnaire. At any time, you can log into your dashboard, go into that person's back office and decide, based on my exam, I want to work on this region and that region and not this region and not this region. And then the next day they will get, and you got to click done at the end. And then the next day they will get games based on what you had set up. And then until you change it, they will keep getting games for that setting.
Okay, so I'd like to know what that initial questionnaire is like. What
So
will
the
they
initial
see?
questionnaire is based on the questionnaire that I use in my office. What you can do is you can set up a patient account and go into it. But again, the questionnaire is just, it's a really general one. It's a really general one to just give the system a starting point, which is why we're working with professionals. So we don't allow people to just come in and use the system. You have to have either a healthcare provider or an educator guiding you through it. So there's someone who decides what your system is going to show you. Not because we don't trust our analysis, but because we want to be as specific as possible. And so the questionnaire is based on the questionnaires that I'm working with, in turn, they are based on questionnaires that I have gotten through courses that I've done with Dr. Brock and Dr. Karazian and Dr. Malillo. So that's what they're based on. But obviously, I've taken hundreds of questions or over 100 questions, and we've condensed them into, I think, around 30 or 27 questions. So again, it's not too tiresome, but it does give us a really basic starting point. Okay. And that's why you as the healthcare provider, as the professional, you have full control over what's going on. You can decide, you know what, I think that questionnaire doesn't tell me anything. I'm just going to do my exam, and that's what we're going to work with.
Who is it targeted, marketed towards? Who
right now, mostly kids. Right now, mostly kids. So 7 to 18. Again, marketing. So let's separate marketing from clinical aspects.
Okay.
So marketing wise, we're marketing for developmental disorders because that's my specialty, and that's, the world I live in.
Brain balance issues.
Well, I don't like to call it brain balance, just to be clear, and this comes up every once in a while. Brain balance is a trademark. Okay. Right, but you're talking about hemispheric imbalance or brain imbalance, let's call it.
Okay.
So yeah, a functional imbalance in brain function, yes. However, this can be used by athletes to improve performance. It can be used by, executives to improve decision-making capabilities, which is one of the markets we thought to go to in the beginning. It can be used for TBI or stroke. It can be used for your back pain patients that you want to improve their cerebellar function or their parietal lobe function so that they feel their body better, right? You can give it to anybody and everybody, really. And again, you obviously can give it to kids who are having, dyslexia or ADHD or autism or sensory processing or, yeah.
About cognitive decline?
Sorry?
Dementia, Alzheimer's, cognitive decline?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, actually, cognitive decline and dementia are two areas that have been researched quite a bit with brain games. And yeah, for sure. And again, you can make it even more specific because you can target their frontal lobes, not just their brain.
Mm-hmm.
So the brain game will do its job, but you can also make them do saccades, or you can also, right? Go ahead.
This is would be able to be used with telemedicine patients?
Yes, for sure. I have patients using this in England, in Barcelona, in New York, in Israel, that are 2 hours away from me and don't come to see me very often. For sure. And because you have the ability to see, have they been playing, how often they've been playing and things like that. So you actually have an idea of whether or not they're working at home or not, which is one of the things that we have really been trying to make sure that we have the ability to do, is really have a way to see if they're doing their exercises at home. If they're not doing their Amaze Brain, they're probably not doing their primitive reflexes. They're probably not doing their core. They're probably not doing their balance exercises, right? Because this is the easy part, right? You just turn on the laptop and let the kid play, right? You don't even have to be there with them.
So it measures compliance. It measures compliance and it measures
performance.
Progress and performance.
Progress and performance. Yes, exactly. Which is exactly those three things that we wanted to put in there.
Everyone involved can see that this is working.
Sorry?
Clinician, everyone involved can see that this is
everybody involved can see whether or not they're doing their thing and if they're improving or not. And it's important for me to say this because me, I'm pretty straightforward and I'm pretty honest, and sometimes that hurts me on the marketing level, but I'm okay with it. This is not a perfect product yet, for sure. Like, for example, the analytics needs to be worked on, and it's going to get better as we progress and we have more data from people who are playing. The algorithm is going to get a lot more complicated and a lot more effective. And I'm being straightforward. This is going to get much better than the way it is right now. But even in the way it is right now, it's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn and it works great, and the kids like it. And the kids like it, and adults like it too, quite honestly.
How much is it?
Done is better than perfect.
Done is better than perfect, for sure.
Yeah.
What was that, Gabriela?
Sorry.
What's the price?
Okay, so we have priced it. So there's two parts to the pricing. There's the cost for using the platform, and then there's the cost for patients. And the pricing is $100 for they're all monthly fees, monthly recurring fees. And so it's $100 for the platform and $10 per patient. Now, you can then go ahead and charge your patients whatever you want. Okay?
And
So,
do you offer something like a trial period to test?
yes. So what we do is we offer you a 30-day trial period to play around with it. And we also, for the next, I'm blacking out for a second. Let me skip that. So we do offer a trial period. And also if you want to pay it in advance for a year, then we do offer a 50% discount on both of those. So it's going to be just $50 a month. And then you will get 5 patients for free. And then beyond 5 patients, you will start paying $5 per patient.
That's very nice. I would
Okay.
love to test this, as I think we were in contact like last year or something.
Yeah,
like
we did.
that.
We did.
Yeah,
But we
and
weren't ready yet, so now we're ready.
Right.
And
would you be able to offer me like 2 weeks or 1 month as a
yeah, so again, we're doing a
trial
30-day
test?
try. We're doing a 30-day trial, and you can add on 5 patients for free anyway. And then beyond those 30 days, you can choose to either stop paying for a year in advance, or pay on a monthly basis, and then either you get or you don't get the 50% discount. And then if we at some point, if you start, if you started with 5 patients and now you have 15, then we'll just do, maybe every few months we'll just if we need to charge you for the balance, then we'll do that. But that's pretty simple and it's small money. And the point was to make it so that it's not very expensive for you and it's not very expensive for the patient, and you can easily cover your overhead by having, if you have 3 or 4 patients on this, you're already making money. You're not really, because, if you charge your patients $10 or $20 a month and you're paying $50 a month, then, by the 3rd patient, you're actually making money.
Yeah, well, I would be interested, but I think I would first test this on
Of
my
course.
daughter with ASD.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And you can, what I tell most of the people to do is to use one of those 5 patients and actually create a patient for themselves. And then you can actually, first of all, you can play it for yourself as a brain rehab tool, but you can also have that experience as a patient and get a really, a first-hand experience. There's nothing better than that. So yeah, what I'll do, I'm going to put it in the chat here. You know what? I'll put it in the chat. And so if you want to sign up as a practitioner, then you can go here. So you can go to this link. And when you go to this link, this is what you'll see. Let me share my screen. This is what you'll see. Okay? And if you're already registered, you just put your email and your password. But if you want to sign up, you just fill this out. Click I agree and sign up. When you do that, we're going to get an email saying that you wanted to sign up. It usually takes us between 24 to 48 hours to activate your account. Okay? And then from that time, your 30-day trial starts, right? And then you also, when we do that, we will also send you, usually it's pretty much at the same time. Sometimes it takes a couple of hours. You will also get an email with, I think, 5 or 6 videos of basic use of the program. So how to sign up, how to add a patient, how to change their settings, how to change your password, things like that. And if you have any questions on how to use the system, you just reach out to us. It's really easy. You just email us to support, or again, you can contact me directly. That's fine too. It's pretty simple to use. Again, some of the functionalities are not active yet because, again, we're still in the beginning stages of a lot of the more complex development, but most of it works pretty well. And again, you get videos of how to use everything, and it's pretty simple. And yeah, once those 30 days are over, we're going to start charging you based on your agreement or not. What you will get is a charge request into your email, and then you'll have to fill out your information and run the credit card. And you can either do it on a year in advance and get the 50% and the 5 patients, or you can do it on a monthly basis, depending on what you prefer. It's really up to you. That's about it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. When you add a patient, and again, I've shown this in another video, but when you add a patient, they get an email saying, hey, Dr. Reuven wants to, welcome to Dr. Reuven's community, or Dr. Reuven is inviting you to join his Amaze Brain community, or something like that. And they have to sign up because they get an email that you've used, and they get a password. Once they log in, they have to accept you as their provider. Once they accept you, then they get the questionnaire, and once they're done with the questionnaire, they get those default games, and then the next day they will get their specific games, either with or without your settings. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you have any marketing materials that could be sent out? Introducing it, what it's for, who it's for?
Yes.
Not exactly yet.
I have not been asked that question yet.
Even to me.
There is a video of me explaining how it works, and it's more of a generic explanation. So we can share that with you. We do have a Facebook page that you can share with people. We do have a website, but for some reason it's been down over the last 2 weeks, and I'm not sure why. We're trying to resolve that with Amazon, but hopefully by the new year it'll be up again. So that in the website, it's the easiest thing because they can go in there and there's a video that kind of shows them, what it's about and an explanation. And if you need any other specific, material, just let me know what you need and we'll make sure to get it for you.
Just basic stuff to put a simple ad out or an email list in my neighborhood, or
I would say as soon as the website is back up, just use that. It's a website that it's very, very simple, very self-explanatory. It's designed for the layperson. So it's very easy to understand. And if they want more information, again, they can go to our Facebook page. We don't put a lot of stuff on there. And then if they want any more information, either send them my webinar, or we can even do, if we have enough people, we can definitely do just a webinar like this and give them a more thorough explanation. But the bottom line, it's a very simple explanation. It's brain games that have functional neurology built on top of them. So it's brain games designed to activate your brain, but now we've put on top of them functional neurology so they activate your brain the way I want them to activate your brain, and not just a general activation.
People don't know what functional neurology is. There's many layers here. They have
right.
To go through.
Well, I'm assuming that's something you know how to explain.
Of course, I'm just looking for like a one page that I can put on my email list of. You say you're suffering from any of these problems and you've tried all these things, and this is how
that's
a new app to you, a new technology based upon.
That's an awesome question, and we'll definitely get to working on one, and we'll get it out for all the doctors who are working with us for sure.
All right, I can help you with it too if you need.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. We'll reach out to you over the week.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely
all right, guys.
Omer. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. And again, if you weren't able to be on here and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, either Dr. Hirsch at amazelabs.com or through Messenger on Facebook, or if you have my phone number, just shoot me a WhatsApp, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. We'll be very happy to work with you. And if you have any question, again, on the pricing, something wasn't clear, just let us know and we'll get everything to you. And yeah, looking forward to working with you and making this a huge thing, because I really do believe that over the next year, this is going to blow up. I think it's going to have a lot of effect on a lot of people. So I'm very excited to start working with all of you guys. And well, guys,
Very
thank you
good.
so much. If I think for those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. For those of you who do not,
Thank you.
may we
are
all have
stuck
peace
with
and
COVID.
prosperity.
Jesus.
Anyway,
I
so yeah,
haven't-
stay healthy, stay safe.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful New Year, or as we say, civilian New Year. And yeah, thanks again for coming on, and looking forward to working with you.
Oh,
Take care, guys.
Okay.